Hello, good evening, one and all. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Combermereans, friends of Combermere, wannabe Combermereans, and all those who wish they were Combermereans. I have to be content to stay on the outside. But hey, we welcome every one of you. Tonight, we are privileged and we hope we will be able to execute this. We will be doing our fourth Combermere live interview, and our guest tonight, as I keep saying, hopefully, will be Wayne Dogman Norville. Everybody in the Caribbean knows who Wayne Norville is. And I know I am privileged to be one of those who would have known Wayne from as early, I think, as 1960, 62 or 63, because we were at Wesley Hall together, went through Combermere School together. Um, Regrettably, Wayne is having some technical challenges, but our host is working feverishly behind the scenes to make sure that we can get those challenges rectified. And hopefully, Wayne will join us very, very shortly. But there's so much that we can talk about Wayne. We decided that we're going to have this show started. And when Wayne parachutes in, then he will take over, as Wayne is always willing, ready, and able to do. Um, Let me begin by just recounting a couple of things. Hi there, Hess. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well.
That's good, great. Let me just recount a few things I remember about this particular individual. Wayne was always short, but Wayne commanded a respect without being ostentatious or boisterous. He was so talented, and for some reason, people gravitated to hear what he had to say. He always had something interesting to say. A lot of people may not know that, but Wayne could dance. Wayne could dance. And he always had the best and the most classic moves of the day. Now, I am a little ashamed because I don't want to call the names of some dances because people are Hess too young to understand this. And of course, Alicia is going to start laughing at me. We're not going to worry with that. But Wayne always commanded some type of audience without being boisterous. I credit Wayne with so many things. But I think what I most credit him with right now, as I recall, he gave me a dog. He gave my family a dog. I credit Wayne with me being a dog lover. I saw Wayne operating in his natural environment. Dogs used to follow Wayne to school. It's difficult to understand this. And the story goes, and I don't want to steal Wayne's thunder, but Wayne was recognized very, very early as a guy with significant potential for being an animal lover and an animal carer. Wayne had this beautiful German Shepherd mix, big guy, a dog called Laddie, I remember. I personally never met Laddie, but I had an offspring from Laddie. And we had this dog called Bella. Arguably the most intelligent animal that I have ever come across in my life. And when I tell stories about this dog, even Wayne couldn't quite believe some of these stories that I could tell about this particular dog. This dog, I've never seen any animal love the sea and love to swim. I've never seen anything since then or up to that time. This dog would jump in our car whenever she saw my father or any one of us reach for a beach towel or a bath suit, jump in the car and wait for us. And we had to try and hold this dog in the car when we drove into Bay Street to go on Bay Street Beach, Browns Beach. She would just take off and run through everybody and swim up to the boats and back. An amazing little animal. Vicious as the day is long because she would attack anything and anybody. She loved to fight. But I credit Wayne for introducing me to how to take care of animals. And since then, I have become a real dog lover. I own 3 myself right now. And beside that, as I keep saying, Wayne transcended the student population. He was just not a student of Combermere School. He was part and parcel of the Combermere ethos. Wayne transcended this so easily. Coming to Combermere in 1966 in the lower 1C, and a couple of our real close colleagues, Charlie Pyle and Peter, are with us tonight too, because they were also colleagues of ours in the lower 1C. Just for all you guys who are much younger, The lower 1C was basically a prep. We did our 11 plus at 10 years old, at 10 plus. And when we did that, we went into a lower or prep form before going into the upper first. So that's the way we started at our secondary school. Wayne was with us at Combermere School. And again, he carried over that Wesley Hall gravitas to Combermere, commanded the respect of all he would have met, whom he would have met there, and just became part and parcel of the Combermere family. But also, as I keep saying, without ostentation, without being boisterous, always had something interesting to say and always had people around him. I don't want to steal Wayne's thunder because there's so much about the Combermere experience that I want Wayne to talk about. I remember honoring him and being one of the master ceremonies at the time when we honored Wayne with the Flame Award. But he was deserving and still is deserving of so much more. Barbados has continued to recognize him and recognize his contribution. They have listened to him, and Wayne has grown from strength to strength. They have listened to Wayne. They have developed programs because of Wayne. And Wayne Norville is a household name right throughout the Caribbean. Now, I want to open the floor to some of my other colleagues who may have something to say. And again, we don't want to steal Wayne's thunder. We are hoping that he'll be able to join us. And I just want to invite Hess and anyone else who want to perhaps add to what I have said and see if we could just stretch it out until our good friend and our guest tonight joins us. Anyone, guys? Hi, Peter.
Hi, good evening. Good evening. Yes, I endorse everything that you said about Wayne. Full of community spirit, full of Combermere spirit, full of Barbados spirit. I have a picture of us in lower 1C, if it's possible that we can put it on at this time, so that we can see the members of our class at that time. But until then,
there we go.
Right, there we are.
Peter, can you name everybody there, Peter?
Yes, I can hear. Yes.
Please
so if
do.
we're in the back, the picture that stands up by itself, that of course is Wayne, 10-year-old Wayne. And if we take the back row standing, we have Mark Goddard.
That's left to right.
Larry Mears.
Mm-hmm.
Left to right.
Yeah.
Mark Goddard, Larry Mears, Eiffel, Rose.
Houston
Then
Rose.
me.
That's you,
That's
Peter.
me, that's Rose.
Emerson Crawford.
Crawford, right. Charles Corbin. Anderson
Barney,
Maynard,
Anderson
Maynard, I think he had passed.
Yes, that's right.
And then we have Wayne. Then next to Wayne, we have David.
That's me, because I was wearing glasses at the time.
That's right.
That's me. Yeah.
Trying to pose again,
going up. Yes.
And then boys. And in the middle there, we have...
again, left to right.
Yes, again, left to right. We have Nana.
Ali Nana.
Right, Ali Nana. And that looks like William.
That's my brother, yeah, William.
Right, William. And then that's Charlie Pyle.
Charlie Pyle.
And Thornhill. Anthony Hall, who would have passed as well.
Yeah, he would become a detective, police detective, yes.
Yes, he was a police detective. Adrian King. Let me just give me one moment.
That's Adrian. Next to Adrian.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. I can bring up a clearer picture. Right, so next to Adrian King, then we have Ed Innes.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Osborne.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have
I think he also passed away, I think, too. Yeah.
Yeah, so then Osborne passed away.
Yeah.
And then we have Aline, Hazel Aline, I think was his name.
Yeah, Aline H.M. or H.M.
Something like that, right? And then Reed.
Yeah, I saw him about 2 weeks ago.
Right, and then next to Reed, we have Kenneth Smith.
That's right, okay.
And then sitting again, going left to right, we have Knight.
Everton Knight.
Right, Harcourt Wilson. Bob.
Yes.
Charles Corbin. And the other Aline, Nolan.
No, not Charles. That'd be Keith Corbin.
Keith.
Right.
Yeah, Keith Corbin. And then we have Nolan Allen. And I think
Yes,
Nolan has
Aline HN.
right. Nolan has fast as well.
Oh, okay, didn't know
He
that.
used to work with Bartel.
Mm.
Yes, he used to work with Bartel years ago. But the
Laura
man
1C, 1966.
Laura wants 1966. And at that time, our if memory serves me correct, our form teacher was being Mr. Smith, Aurelius.
Geophysics. He was
Yes,
our
yes.
form master.
Yes, I think he
Do
was
you
our form
recall?
master at the
Do you
time.
recall that a young H. Dayton Maynard?
Right, he taught us English.
He taught us English.
Yeah, he taught us English. And mathematics would have been Mr. Brathwaite.
Yes,
Mr. Brathwaite,
Graham.
he was
Graham
also in
Ralph.
charge of the bookshop.
That's correct. Graham Ralph Branson Brathwaite.
Right,
GRB
Mr. Brathwaite. And then your
With a
dad as well.
powerful left hand.
Your
A
dad.
powerful left hand that will slap you over your head if you get something wrong.
And then your dad would have done, I think, it was
Oh
general
yes,
studies.
that's right. That's right. My father taught there for I think a term and actually took our class once or twice.
Yeah, he taught our class. Yeah, so
The most
we would have
embarrassing
done
moment of my life. Most
we would
embarrassing
have
time of
done
my life.
we would have done a general studies type course like Romulus and Remus and so on.
Yes.
Yeah, we would have done. Those kind.
Do you recall Desmond Clark, who was a teacher? I can't remember what he
Yes.
taught us.
He passed recently. He
short
passed a few weeks ago.
Yes, he did. Yes,
Yes,
and I can remember
he
this
was also
very young
a
man.
lecturer. He was also a lecturer at UE.
That's right. This very young man, fresh from university, called Dayton Maynard. I can't forget him at all.
Right. Yes, he played a significant role in shaping the lives of many Combermerians.
So many Combermerians.
All right, gentlemen, let me interrupt you here. Wayne is still having challenges, but I have him on speakerphone so he can hear us. We know what he looks like, so we can use his voice. So Wayne, welcome. Sorry for your challenges. We have David Strawn on right now, and Peter Peters, and myself.
Hi, good night, everybody. How is
Hi,
everybody?
Wayne. This is a real pity that we can't see you, but hey, I know, I know what they look like.
Yes.
Well, let me just do a formal introduction if you don't mind, because I'm in receipt of a very serious. Let me see. Has you sent that to me? Oh no, here I got it here. A very serious title, and I want to introduce tonight's guest. We don't have him on video, but we have him on audio. Mr. Wayne G.G. Norville, GTE BSS JP. Wayne, you deserve every single title. One of them I really don't know what it means, but let me tell you, you deserve every single one and more. And in your absence, we were just recounting. I was recounting the fact that you and I would have, my brother would have come from Wesley Hall, from Miss Haynes, Miss Critchlow, Mr. Ford of Forehead Smithy, from Wesley Hall to Combermere. And I was actually relaying the fact that I remember that you could always dance. And you always had the best move with the best cuts. Corroborate that for me, man.
I always had the best part of it in here.
The best moves.
The best moves. The best dance moves.
Yeah, but I came from Eagle Hall, you know. And in Eagle Hall, that was one of the places that you could find a jukebox. So the guys used to go on this guy's court instead. And we would do a dance off. So that is one of the reasons why I learned all the different steps. A guy called Cappy Nigol, he was the best. And that's one of the reasons why I learned all of those steps.
Wow.
Brilliant.
So, man, let me interject here. I want to know a little bit more about your background and tell me how many brothers and sisters you had, and what was your neighborhood like when you were growing up?
As I said, I came from Eagle Hall. My sibling, there were 9 of us, but I lost a brother a few years ago.
Okay.
And in Eagle Hall, as you would know, Eagle Hall was the hub of activity in Barbados at that time. Everything passed through Eagle Hall. Cane trucks, sugar trucks, molasses trucks, everything came through Eagle Hall. In the district I live in, the Gills Gap, Eagle Hall, there were a number of families, and they were quite big families. We had the Yearwoods, the Reese's, the Burnets, who else? Legals. There were quite the Osbornes, quite a number.
You had the licorices too? You had the licorices?
We all grew up with parents that knew each other.
Mm-hmm.
So in a situation like that, we were always under the hammer. Somebody will see when you did well. And it will be reported without cell phone.
It will meet you when you get back home.
So your mother knew what happened before. By the time you get home, she was waiting, knowing full well what happened, what you did.
Yes, well, it wasn't only me alone. I guess all the children out there
Mm-hmm.
suffered that fate
Mm-hmm.
because there was no way you could escape any wrong doing that you did, and it was simple.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if one of those elderly people complained for you, it wasn't, there was no explanation that you could give, because to explain would mean that you're saying that the person is a liar, and an elderly person couldn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yes.
As far as they're concerned, no, they wouldn't lie.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to deal with that.
Okay.
But I mean, it was good in a way, because the majority of the children that came from that neighborhood, I don't think there's any of them actually that got in problems with the police.
Okay.
So, and then you had your siblings would have had their friends, and their friends would obviously be older than you are.
Mm-hmm.
So when one of them corrected you, you had to listen.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So now you move from home now, and you go on to Combermere School. What was your first impressions of Combermere when you got there?
Well, I went to Resi Hall just like David did. And when we left Resi Hall, what we would consider a flat school,
Oh, yeah.
and we went to Combermere and saw this humongous building. And being the wanderer that I always was, I decided to explore. And I found myself on the second floor. And obviously those fellas didn't like that. Not for a first former candidate. So they showed me exactly what happens to a person. Happens to a person that wanders.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have things like initiation. Like orientation. So we were just thrust into this school. And if you didn't have parents to explain to you your purpose there, I think that was a mistake that a lot of parents, some of them probably didn't know themselves why you were actually there. But we had to, find a way to find out exactly what was going on when we were there.
Okay.
We were now in a school with close to 1,000 people. Mm-hmm. You now have all these different personalities to deal with. Then you had the personalities of the teachers to deal with.
Yes.
And, it was trying to find your way, definitely, at least for the first year of school.
But I knew that you had, you had mentors at school, because Mr. Harry Seeley was a big mentor for you, right? As for most of us here, Mr. Seeley was a great mentor.
Yeah. Mr. Harry Seeley is the only true humanitarian that I know. And I say that with no regrets. But before we get to Harry himself, every now and again, boys, you get into trouble, and I remember one day, the pictures that the Globe changed the lens. and it was, remember we had Horn Uzi?
Yeah.
John Griffith, hippie.
Yeah.
And we decided we wanted to see these pictures in the Globe. So we decided we can leave school because to see the pictures. So then we jump over the wall. Mr. C was in the car sitting down. And he asked us, can I give you guys a ride? a ride to school? Yeah. All right. Has this thing here, I got it back now. So the only thing is I can't get to reach the button to see the button to get on.
You got to scroll down.
Because for some reason my screen is not the window is not right up.
Okay. All right. Well, continue. We can continue on.
We get the window right there.
Yeah. So let's continue on the speakerphone for now, while you try to.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to do that now. Okay. All right.
So let's get back to Mr. Seeley.
I see something here now, boy. Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
I can see you on the screen.
Okay.
Right. You move from there. All right. I see you have a picture of Mr. Seeley there.
Yes.
You don't see me.
I don't know. There's a button that says enter the studio. So Charlie in the background, if you can see Wayne in the background, see if you could pull him forward into the chat. Okay. So while we waiting, Wayne, let's continue talking about Mr. Seeley.
Yeah, and he took us into the deputy head's office, and he took out these 3 foolscap papers.
Yeah.
Long sheets. And Mr. Seeley proceeded to, every one of us had an hour with Mr. Seeley. An hour. And Mr. Seeley had written down everything that we were doing wrong. Everything that we did wrong. All 3 of us. And he would stay on each of us an hour, just giving us the rundown. So he went through the other 2, and then he got to me, and then at the end, he said to me, if you don't change today, you know you will never change. He said that to me. After that, this episode with the headmaster stand and get his dogs. Now, while everybody else was playing during the lunch period, I would always find myself by the fence with the dogs, and I would spend time there with the dogs, just playing with them through the fence and stuff. So one day I decided, enough of this. So I opened the gate and went in. And you know, David, you remember the size of those dogs.
He had the biggest German shepherds. I did old schools fighting for them.
And I was in there playing with the dogs. Someone told the headmaster, and he hurriedly ran across. And he shouted at me, what you doing in there? Get out, what you doing in there? You know? So I think he was more scared.
For you.
I don't know if he realized that I wasn't scared of the dogs and I was actually playing with them. Or it was kind of like embarrassed because the dogs, I was in his yard with his dogs, so supposed to be guard dogs, right? After that, he said to me, my punishment would be to come and groom the dogs every Saturday morning. that was my punishment.
But he didn't know that wasn't a punishment, right?
Pardon?
That wasn't a punishment for you. That was pleasure.
No, he thought it was a punishment.
Yeah.
It wasn't a punishment.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm still not seeing that. Charlie in the background. You see me in the background. Moving forward into
All right. Go ahead, Wayne. Keep talking.
Yeah. So after that, then he said to me, you know, there's a no. After that, Mr. CD heard about the incidents and stuff. But during that course of time, I used to keep lots of animals myself out. So I had lots of home pigeons. So I would take them up to school on mornings and watch them fly home. I would release them and watch them fly home. And then gradually, I remember one morning I was going up to school, and this one dog would not stop following me, and the dog followed me to school. I sat in the schoolyard for the entire day. Came out at lunch, I gave it some of my lunch. The dog sat there, and then in the evening, the dog walked back down, and the dog went home. When I got to its home, it went back home. Following morning, the same thing. 2 dogs this time. Till at one time, there were 5 dogs and 2 cats that used to follow me to school.
Wow.
So Mr. He saw that, and he asked me if I was interested, if I love animals. I said, yes. He said, well, if I call the RSPCA and ask if they take volunteers, would you go? So I said yes, but I said yes before asking my parents. I was so happy, you know. So he said, okay. So he did ask, and they said yes. And I asked my father, he wasn't too keen. My mother wasn't too keen either. You know, I was just past the 11 plus. I passed when I was 9.5. So I just passed the exam. I'm now going to high school. Remember that, a high school. And high school boys or students shouldn't be playing around with the animals. So that is how they saw it, right?
Mm-hmm.
They thought that at that time it was strictly you're going to school to learn Latin, French, Spanish, math, English, and you're supposed to be into those things, nothing that should take your indulgence away.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, I went to school, but most of the time I was at school, I realized that something was missing out of my life. And at that time, and I think right now, most of us have realized that there are a lot of us that went to school, but we weren't really interested in what we were being taught. We were interested, our interests were different. Okay, some students love the academics and they wanted, they like this languages or math and English. Other kids love, other things because we saw, my father was a carpenter. And at that time, when I was around my father, because he used to build coffins, and I was around my dad, I still was uncomfortable because, as I said, something was lacking. The only thing I was comfortable is when I was around animals. That's the only time I felt comfortable and felt safe.
Okay.
Because I didn't have to put on any ears for them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to pretend. They accepted me for who I was. And I felt safe with them.
So how did you transition from going to the RSPCA right, as a volunteer into making it a full-time profession? How did you transition from that?
Well, I was at the RSPCA from the time I was 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw every operation. And even when there were operations being done, I knew nothing about that I had never seen. They used to send a van for me to see them, so to come to the clinic and see them. So I from 13 years, I was exposed to surgery. And but for some reason, surgery wasn't my thing. First thing, surgery is 4 walls. I was never a person that liked walls. I was a confinement. I love outdoors. So after I finished school, I went straight. I couldn't say leave to say I went back. I was still there. And I went into the RSPC. And I remember one Saturday morning, the treasurer came, and she, not treasurer, the receptionist came, and she asked him, she said, "Where would you be interested in being an inspector?" I was going out in advance, so I had an idea what being an inspector was at that time, because it was basically the minimum at that time. So I knew exactly what was going on. So I said, "Well, I don't have a problem with it." She said, "Do you have a driver's license?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." So she said, "From Monday, you will be an inspector." So I went in on the Monday. When I went home, I told my parents first. My parents were too happy, but they figured that I should be probably in somebody's bank working, you know, with a collar and tie on, that type of thing. You know, you went to school or high school, or you basically time, you know, with animals, and you want with animals and stuff. But my mother knew me so well. She knew that there's anything that I put my mind to, there's no one alive that could change my mind that I make it up. No one.
Okay.
So she knew that. So she decided, well, you know, I'm going out. But not only that, but, you know, at that time, there were mouths to feed too. So me having a job meant that there was extra money coming into the family, to the home. My first paycheck was $65, and my mom took $30 to help in the house. You know, and if there was a morning that I said I didn't have any money, she would squeeze money in my hand when I was going to the door. You know, so at least I knew, you know, where the money was going. Right? But after that, then I got into the job. And I realized that it wasn't, being an inspector is, you have to tie every aspect of life into it if you want to do it properly. Your time, because I was on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your time is not yours. You live for your job. I remember one evening, I had just gotten in from work, and as soon as I got in, I didn't even get a chance to take my shoes off before I rang. And it was a call. My grandmother was sitting there. So I said, "Mom, put back my food, I gotta go again." My grandmother said, my grandmother's very, very dry, you know. She said, "Wait, they ain't gonna even let you get any food to eat.
Yeah.
But then animals gonna kill you." She told me just so. And I just laughed it off, and I went on and I did the call, and I came back. But that became my life.
Okay. So let me step it up here. A quick question for you. As you became more in tune with the job and everything, I know, you know, a lot of us here are familiar with some of the rescues that you've done. Can you tell us about some of the more difficult rescues and what those procedures and protocols involve?
Well, some people seem to think that, you know, rescuing big animals, right, is more dangerous than rescuing small animals. But you must remember, a small animal can get into some very small places. And I'll give you an example of what I thought was my most, it was one of the toughest rescues I did, and it was also very dangerous. This gentleman took his cat. He was taking it to the vet to be neutered. This was here in was that road now. The end of Phillips Road comes to the road that comes from Bishop Corner behind the Evangel Temple.
Okay, yeah.
Right. On that road, there's a well. And the cat escaped. And the only place the cat could find to run was the first dark hole would be where the water would normally go through. So the cat went into the hole and dropped into the well.
Mm-hmm.
The gentleman was so scared, he went and he broke off a limb, a tree limb, and he put it in with the expectation the cat would climb up on the limb and get out.
Mm-hmm.
So when he called and I got there and I took the lid off the well, I saw this limb, so this branch. So I asked him who threw the branch, and he did, and the reason why he did that. He said, okay. So I prepared to go down to the cat. When I got down to the bottom, there was no cat. So I looked around to see if there was a cavern, cave, whatever could be like that. There was no cat. So I looked up. I realized it was the dry season, one. And that's another thing. Being an inspector, you have to know, you have to be in tune with everything. Weather, don't care what it is, you have to be in the tides, everything you have to be in tune with. So when I looked up, I realized that the casing of the well was, all the dirt had moved away from the casing of the well. So what the cat did was climb up on the branch and went up between the casing and the well and disappeared. So I told my member staff, I said, I will have to go off the ladder to see where the cat would have gone. So all I had was a torch. Right? So what we had to do was we had to use the rope as language. One tug was I was off the ladder. 2 tugs was I located the cat. 3 tugs, I'm coming back onto the ladder. Anyhow, so I went on, I climbed, and when I climbed and I spot the light, as far as I could see was this cavern thing. All I saw was like the grass roots and the plant roots and stuff there. But the cat probably sat right out to the end, and I knew it would have been too dangerous for me to try to crawl because it was only like a 2-foot space. So I said to myself, animals always come back to light or voices that they're familiar with. The cat was scared, the ordeal, so it would go in that corner and it would hide and it would stay there. But as soon as it becomes calm again, what it would do is draw as close as possible to sounds, familiar sounds. So I decided, okay, I wouldn't try that morning. The second morning I returned, the cat was, I had to climb off the ladder again. The cat was a little closer. So I keep calling the name, calling it by its name and stuff. And it was meowing and stuff. So I didn't bother it anymore. So the third morning I said, I have to get this cat this morning. I have to get it. So I went back off the ladder and spot the light. And the cat was to my right in the corner there. It was just about 10 feet from me. So I decided to take the chance and to crawl. So I there was crawling and the roots from the trees and the grass rubbing in my eyes and and I got close to her and I started to talk to her and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And eventually I realized she started to push her head forward. So I realized I was gaining her confidence. So eventually she allowed me to touch her. And I just rub her and talk to her, right? And all the time I was thinking, how am I going to get back out with this cat? Because I would have to reverse. And there wasn't a whole lot of room. Anyhow, I got the cat. And I decided that the only way out would be for me to reverse. So I started to reverse on my elbows and stuff like that, my knees, and started to reverse. So when I got to I just tugged the rope and let him know that I had the cat. So I said, what I'm going to do is to climb onto the ladder, but instead of coming up, I'm going to go down first so I can hold the cat properly. So I went down and held her properly down. And by that time, she was more into me because she was like scared, so she was into me. And, I just climbed with one hand and I came back up. So we got the cat out. And when he called the owner, it was the weekend. They had gone to Grenada for a holiday. So I managed to get his number where he was staying, and I called him. And I said to him, I was able to rescue Maggie, was the cat's name. And this guy started to cry. So I was like, well, why are you crying? And he said, well, my family haven't spoken to me since that cat dropped in that line.
Okay.
So I told him, okay, I had the cat at the clinic. So when they came back in, they came and they got the cat. But 2 days later, I passed the same area. The well had caved in.
Oh, wow.
The entire well caved in.
Wow. So that cat was a lucky cat. You didn't have to use none of the 9 lives that you had.
Yeah.
Yes. All right.
That was one lucky cat.
Mm-hmm. Well, boy, we're gonna have to pick up the pace here because time is against us today. It took you a little time to get on. So I'm gonna run forward a little bit here and jump forward in a couple of things. We have one of your good friends online here, Peter, and we also have Peter Earl, right? And they were 2 of your very good friends.
Is Peter?
Yes.
Yeah, Peter Peters and Peter Earl?
Yes.
Okay.
And we also got Peter Vicious Alkins in the background. So 3 Peters.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I had spoken to Peter Alkins, and he said that he remembered an incident with you and him where he was playing some game or something, and he got the cornea of his eye scratched, and he had to end up in the hospital, and you came to visit him. And he said this really cemented his friendship with you because you thought when you saw him that he had lost his sight, and so you got very emotional about it, and he was very touched about that, and he said that is a good friend, right? And you
I'm still emotional now when I remember that.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I lived in Eagle Hall. He lived in the Ivy, and I rode to the Ivy. But you know that story was only relayed to me a few years ago with the St. Peter Hawkins, because he said to me, Wayne, you don't know, but you were a true friend.
Yes.
And I'd forgotten about it, honestly. And then he reminded me. But you see, that is what Combermere is all about. Yeah. You see, when we went to Combermere, all of us were poor. All of our families were struggling. But the good thing about it, if one guy had a book and the other guy didn't have it, they shared. And in everything we did, it was like one big family sharing with each other. It is true that some guys would have been more close to you, like David and his brother William. We left all together. I mean, I don't know of a time that we were too far from each other not to be a friend.
Yeah.
And my dear friend Peter Peters is the closest person the closest person to Harry City to me.
Wow.
I have never heard him raise his voice. I have never heard him raise his voice. He is always very cool and calm.
But he might be cool and calm because he may be cool and calm because he never met Cliff Codrington.
No, we all went into Combermere in 1966. Cliff went in lower 1A and we were in lower 1C.
Yeah, and
so we know Cliff very well. But Wayne continues to make the point there that all of us really, or most of us anyway, were really from working class families, working class background. And in many cases, perhaps we were the first to go to all the secondary school in the family. So I can understand what he's saying, you know, when people thought that he could have done other than be an inspector. But then that was his calling. And he really did it exceptionally well. Now, Wayne was into animal rights and animal care, and so before it was a buzzword. Now you hear people speaking about their pet parents. You hear that somebody says that they're the father of the dog or the mother of the cat and so on.
Yeah.
But Wayne had that spirit 50, 60 years ago. So he really was an exceptional person, is an exceptional person, and really a visionary as far as I'm concerned.
Well, that is great praise coming from Wayne to say that you are the closest thing to Harry Seeley. That is great praise.
That's right. Because not enough could be said about what Harry Seeley, the mentorship and the guidance that Harry would have given to Wayne. Because those stories abound, and we don't have enough time tonight to talk about what Harry would have meant to Wayne and how he would have guided a lot of us. So that is a major compliment, you know. And I know Peter myself, Peter, and I tell you this, Wayne is very, very correct. Calm under the most extreme pressure. And if at all you wanted to be calm, you just had to stand up close to Peter.
It's true. It's true.
Now we have Peter Earl here. Peter Earl, can you say something about your friend Wayne?
Gladly, but before I say something about Wayne, there was a time when I thought Peter Peters, that calmness was threatening me. I slapped Ricardo de Pisa around his head. Now Ricardo de Pisa told me that there's no way on earth I could ever slap him on his head and get away with it. But Ricardo went for Peter. And I looked down the corridor and see Peter Peters coming. I said, oh dear Lord, now I can get beat bad. And when Peter got to me, Peter said, listen, the next time he interferes, you let me know. And that was it. So I mean, that speaks to the type of person Peter Peters was. But getting to Wayne, the first thing that jumped out at me about Wayne was that he liked to talk a lot. That boy was just a talker. And David mentioned that he was a good dancer, but I remember Wayne saying at school. I remember us being in the classrooms and we would be drumming the desks during the lunchtime, and Wayne and other persons would be saying and that type of thing. Wayne also liked to talk a lot about animals and in particular dogs. And I remember he had that special relationship with Harry Seeley. As a matter of fact, what we used to do is that we used to use Wayne to get Harry to talk about anything else other than maths. And he would tell me, look, as soon as Harry come in that classroom, you engage him in some other conversation. And Harry fell for it each time. Harry would talk about anything else besides maths. And we would be proud, like Wayne said before, we weren't really interested in a lot of academics. And Harry would talk about all types of things except the maths.
Talk about life.
Yes, he was talking about life, and I think he was the person who's taught us a lot about life outside of school.
Yes,
and
definitely.
He certainly was interested in Wayne in particular. I remember when he talked to Wayne about this voluntary thing. But Wayne always talked about dogs and animals and that type of thing. Those are things that I remember. I remember about Wayne, and that's perhaps why he's into a lot of karaoke, and he's a very good singer. I think he lost his calling there too, because I think Wayne could very easily has been a very, very leading Barbadian singer in Barbados if he wanted to.
But Peter, I will interject here. Wayne also, like, he learned something from his father, because his father was a carpenter.
Yes.
And Wayne has some great carpentry skills.
Yeah, I've seen some of his work.
I think we have a couple shots here of some of the work that Wayne put out? Can we put the some of the furniture that Wayne put out? I mean, Wayne has some talent out of this world, right?
Wow.
Look at the carpentry and the
That
skills.
has gone beyond carpentry. That is joinery, man.
Yes.
The joinery, yes.
Yes. Wayne, I think we can commission you to make a special dog house for Cliff.
I painted it pink.
I'm paint it pink.
With a built-in sprinkler for the flame.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But yet, Wayne, so what are some of the other hidden talents that we do not know about that you have? Because I think you've written a book, right?
Yeah, I'm in the process of having my book. It's final editing now, but since then I've started another one.
Okay.
During my life as an inspector, as a RSPC inspector, I interacted with thousands and thousands of people. And what I've done is to put some of those interactions in this book, along with some of the funny things that I experienced in the job. I could remember this lady calling me and saying to me that she gave me direction. The directions to the house was, once you swing left off the main road, my house is the third house on the left. It is a pink house. And but it has a fence. So I said, okay. So I went and I turned left as she told me, but when I got like halfway, I didn't see a pink house. So I said, what if it's in the red gap? Anyhow, I proceeded down and I keep looking on. When I got to the bottom, I turned and I was coming back up. And I saw this hand like through the window. And it was the woman.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, but you told me to live on the left hand side. She said, well, there's the lady standing up when they're talking to you. She told me, look inside here ain't pink. She told me, now you have a fence. She said, so what's down there? That's a fence. No, wait, so boy, you know, a fence. You figure it is a wooden fence, but it was like a hedge, not a fence.
Okay.
Right? So so I mean, these are the type of things that I encountered with you know, during my work life. You know, a lot of funny things with people, right? So
you're basically gonna write an autobiography then?
Yes.
Yes. But you also wrote a book about dog control, stray dogs, animal control, and stuff like that, right?
That was the first Barbados dog management program that was ever written.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wrote that. I think it was 97 or 98.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wrote that. Unfortunately, the powers that be didn't seem to think that it was worthy of using. Because I'm certain if it was used from then, we would have been a lot further. What we are in, the problems that we have with animals now, more than likely, they wouldn't be as difficult to deal with as if they had followed. In actual fact, before it was finished, there was a delegation here from Chile, and they wanted it before it was finished. But obviously, we had to finish it, and they were the first people to take it and use it. But unfortunately, it wasn't used here.
Okay.
You know.
Wayne, I want to ask this question. If you had to judge a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of the readiness, the maturity of Barbados when it comes to animal care, husbandry, what have you, judging from where you have come, on a scale of 1 to 10, where are we?
I would say we are about 7.
That's pretty good. Okay.
I say that because I knew what it was like for 55 years ago. I knew when dogs were used as crop collectors. I knew when dogs used to run around free in the neighborhoods, and I know dogs going into what we used to call stuff bins, and eating out of them. And I knew when people used to treat them really, really badly. And, I could compare that time with now. What I'm seeing now is irresponsible owners. That is our biggest problem. Irresponsible owners. Because if you acquire an animal, you are responsible for it. You're responsible for feeding, medical care, housing. And if you have no intentions of doing that, then you shouldn't have it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nope. So what I've seen over the years is that I've seen a lot more people, and I guess it's because of social media, where there are all these animal programs, what's this one called? Anyhow, a lot of wildlife programs that they show and stuff, and a lot of children are connected to these, what they're seeing with these, and these programs, and they're challenging the parents.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
When it was a volunteer, there was only one other person that was a volunteer at the RSPCA, only one other person. We have had, before COVID, we had so many volunteers that we had to split them up because there are too many in one day, right? Because there's so many children that are interested in animal welfare. The problem is that they have to watch the parents not look after the dog or the cat or whatever animal that they have, and they can't say anything. They will report it to me. They used to report it to me. They would say, my mom do this or my dad do this,
Mm-hmm.
and I would go and I would speak to them, about the situation. But right now in Barbados, we have people that spend thousands of dollars on animals. Thousands. And a lot of them, some of the times it's for the wrong reasons. Sometimes for breeding. Because to purchase a dog costs a whole lot of money, and they want to make back the money that they bought the dog for. But you do not know, if you have a dog and it has a litter of 8 puppies, you do not know if you're going to get all 8 soon. And if you're going to charge what I see some people charging for dogs, how many people will be able to afford it?
Yeah.
And even if some of them do, what happens is that they bought the dog as a pup, but they forgot the dog was going to grow. And they have to maintain it. And they have to maintain medical bills,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them, after the novelty wears off, right? Because they are not really animal lovers.
Yeah,
that's correct.
You don't realize that when you acquire an animal, it is for the animal's life.
Mm-hmm.
They don't realize that, right?
It's like taking care of a baby.
No.
Actually,
Yeah,
it's
like taking care of a
even
baby.
more. It's even more intense than that, Hess, because
Yes.
I know, and I've had dealings with him. And Wayne is hitting every single mark dead on the head, because and while Wayne, I go as far and I'd be so bold as to make this statement, while you attribute the growth and the maturity of Barbados, you say up to about 70% now, to social media, I believe, social media and other causes. I'll go as far as saying that Wayne G.G. Norville has had to have played a significant role in the maturity of the Barbados society towards animal care, husbandry, and the awareness of what it takes. So without you saying it, I'll be so bold as to make that statement without fear of contradiction.
And you would have a lot of people saying yes to that. Yes to that. And unfortunately, Wayne boy, time has gone by like crazy. And I think we may have to have you come back and do a part 2, because you have lived a long, interesting life, and we got to get into some more diverse chats. with you. Because we ain't even get into all the karaoke stuff that you just doing, the humanitarian work that you just doing, the mentorship that you do.
How about this? How about challenging Wayne to make sure that the edit for his first book is done, and let's come back and launch it here.
All right, we can do that too. All right,
that's not a bad idea.
Sure.
But I'm having some challenges now, but I think I can get them there. Get the challenges. I don't know. What I'll do is, David, I will get in contact with you because you probably might be able to point me in direction.
I was going to offer my help because I've had some experience in helping to get books edited and published. So I would offer my help with you, Wayne, because you have a great story to tell, and people must be able to read about it. And we will make it required reading in the Combermere School Library.
Okay. All right. Well, Wayne, thank you very much. David, you want to do the final wrap up?
Well, it would be a great pleasure, but as I said, this is a temporary wrap-up, Wayne, because we haven't seen your face, although we know what you look like.
Yeah.
You got a book to publish, and we can launch that, so you will be back. But Wayne G.G. Norville, I want to thank you so much for making yourself available. I am excited about this because this is a personal connection that I would have with you, a personal connection that Peter McVie Earl and Peter would have had with you. And then, of course, Hess, a little younger, but definitely a strong connection. This Combermere connection is nothing short of miraculous. As you said, Wayne, quite deliberately, working class, and Peter corroborated this. Working class backgrounds, bringing people together at school, and Combermere School was a great equalizer. Everybody came into Combermere School and became equal and became friends. And I keep telling the young students at Combermere, every chance I get to them, I say, you will not experience what Combermere is like until later in your life. But mark my words, the friendships that you create here are for life. This school and the ethos gets into your bloodstream and becomes part of your DNA. Combermere School has done that to me. It's done it to every one of us. And that spirit lives on. It lives on through people like you, Wayne Norville. So I want to thank you for being here with us tonight. We will come back and we will revisit your story and expand upon it a little more. I want to thank the co-host Hess and those in the background, those who have joined us, and thank Charlie for his initiative for getting these interviews together and so on. And let's move on from strength to strength and have you back, Wayne. Thank you again very, very much. Godspeed, up and on, up and on.
Up and on, my brother. Up and on.
Up and on.